Welcome, everybody, to another Bourbon Show. Glad to have you join us. And this week, we've got another special guest for you. We've got a guy I have known for 9-10 years. He is one of my very favorite comedians on the planet. So I'd like for everybody to give a big round of applause to Mr. Matt Holt.
Hey,
Matt,
guys.
thanks for joining us tonight,
No problem.
man.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the high praise too.
Well, I mean,
I assume you were talking about someone else and they weren't available. So now I got the call.
It's the wrong notes. I have notes from when James Johan was supposed to be joining us.
Well, that's a good one. I'm okay with that. James is solid. Has he been on the show?
What's that?
Has he been on this?
No, he hasn't. I haven't reached out to him yet. You know, this is still we're still in our early episodes. We're at 23.
He probably drinks Mountain Dew or some shit anyway.
Oh, absolutely. You know he does.
Yeah.
Redneck son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Hey, he is in St. Louis this week though. I'm gonna try to go see him over at the Funny Bone on Saturday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, he is.
So, Matt, thanks for joining us. You right from the get-go, you were somebody that I wanted to make sure to have on the show because number one, you're hilarious, and number two, you like bourbon a lot.
I do. Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I've been I'm from Indianapolis originally, and one of the clubs that I started working in 2007 was Comedy Off Broadway in Lexington, Kentucky, which is right on the Bourbon Trail.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of got into it from working that club, and every time I'd work, I'd go to a local liquor store and buy a bottle of bourbon while I was there. I would take it home. So I was learning about it that way. I kind of almost through osmosis a little bit. Like the clerk would tell me, "Oh, you should try this," and I'd have a price range in mind. You know, I didn't want to spend over like $45 or something like that. And so, you know, that's when I learned about Eagle Rare that way, and I got a bottle of Rowan's Creek, which I don't recommend. It was very high alcohol content, and that bottle lasted me probably 4 years. I just could not choke it down. And but that's how I learned about bourbon. And then 3 years ago I moved to Frankfort, Kentucky, which is where Buffalo Trace is. I mean, if you go out my apartment door, hang a right and go 2 miles, Buffalo Trace is right there. Yeah. So when they're producing, the entire town smells like mash. Mm-hmm. And it's really incredible.
That's really cool.
Thing. Yeah, so you go outside and it smells like bourbon, and then you come into my apartment and it smells like bourbon here too. So I can basically just piss wherever I want. It's awesome.
You've got a built-in excuse.
Yeah, it's really a cool part of the country to live in if you're a bourbon guy, for sure. Yeah. Because I've got Woodford Reserve is 15-20 minutes away. Mm-hmm. Wild Turkey and Four Roses is about 20-25 minutes away. Bardstown is an hour down the road. I mean, it's pretty cool spot.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I assume you have access to all of this at your disposal. Anything you want, probably easily.
Well, you would believe that. Buffalo Trace has they have a really cool gift shop, and they do sell some of their product, but they don't sell. I mean, you can get Buffalo Trace as much as you want. You can get their bourbon cream as much as you want, which if you haven't had that, that's fantastic, by the way. Mm-hmm. But then you can sometimes you can luck into getting a bottle of Eagle Rare. You can luck into getting Taylor, and then every once in a while they'll have Blanton's on the shelf, and that's it's $60. It's not upcharged at all.
Yeah.
But then when COVID hit, they expanded their gift shop. The gift shop's 3 or 4 times the size it was, and they're putting more product out. Now you can go in and almost all the time you can get they keep Blanton's behind the counter, but you can get something, but if it's Blanton's or if it's they started doing Weller Special Reserve. They actually started selling that through there, which I'd never seen until this past, I think it was December, maybe November. You have to give them your driver's license. They scan you into their system, and you can only buy one bottle every 3 months.
Really?
Yeah. So it's still really hard to get. I mean,
yeah.
For the longest time, I was driving to a Kroger in Ohio to get Weller, and it was $22.99 there, and I could find it. And it was, there was always a 1 bottle limit, but if you talk to the clerk nice enough, she's like, I don't care what you do. You take it, get it, whatever you want.
Yeah.
So I was having to go out of town to get it. I now have Weller has kind of become my well bourbon because I've been able to procure so much of it at a reasonable price. That's just what I go to. So
Yeah.
I've been
I
lucky.
mean, you're not going to find a better well drink than Weller. That's for
No,
sure.
it's amazing.
Yeah. Tonight, the four of us, we're going to be drinking this one right here. Some Weller Special Reserve. Before we talk about Weller, Steven, what do you think of this label here?
Well, as hopefully people at home remember, I already gave Weller Antique 107 a 9 out of 10, and I said it was like as close as you can get to a 10 for me. It's a great label, and I'm sticking with that for the Special Reserve because it's basically the same label, just a different color.
Yep.
Which I also like that they have the different colors. You can easily tell which one it is from far away. So yep, sticking with the 9 out of 10 for this guy. Great label.
Cool. Yeah, I can't argue with that. It's yeah, the difference is, all Weller's labels are identical. It's just a different color. You've got the green for Special Reserve, red for 107, black for 12, blue for foolproof, orange for single barrel, white for craft your perfect bourbon. Did I miss any?
I don't think so.
Black for 12. I said that one. Anyway.
You said
Anyway.
I do want to say though, when we start talking about where we got this bottle, I know everybody's going to say, "Oh, it's Weller product. No way, Steven definitely borrowed from Dan again." Wrong. Okay, wrong. I did get a vial from Dan.
Yeah, he did. He did.
But then after I left your place, I, upon your recommendation, stopped by the Phillips 66 in Maryville, and I did find Weller Special Reserve on the just right in front of my face, basically on the shelf for MSRP. Yep. So I do have a vial from Dan. Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But I also have my own bottle. So go fuck yourselves.
So you mooched off me, even though you didn't even have to mooch off me, is what I'm hearing.
That's one way you can take it, sure. But the other way you can take it is I have my own bottle tonight. Okay.
Isn't it weird when you find a bottle that you weren't expecting? You kind of have that moment, like you take this deep breath, and it's almost like going over the tall hill on a roller coaster. Like your stomach kind of goes up in the air a little bit. I get that way when I see something I'm not expecting, and then when you see the price isn't them jacking it up or something, that's just fantastic.
You know, so
it wasn't as if I didn't know it was going to be there. Dan had a suspicion based on the time I was at his place that it could be a good time to stop by, kind of thing. And he's like, and he might put a Weller out on the shelf, but if he does, it's only going to be one. So then I walked in and I happened to see that there was a Special Reserve on the shelf, and sure enough, there was just one. And I mean, I walked up and I grabbed, like, I happened to be walking into the place with like 3 other people at the time, and it was kind of that feeling you're talking about though, Matt, where like I grabbed it off the shelf and I was kind of looking at like these guys are just like using the bathroom or like paying for their gas, but I'm just like, oh, I got away with one today, you know. And then I'm like, then I'm trying to like hide it as if I'm like stealing it. Now they think I'm stealing it because I'm trying to hide it.
It's some high level stuff, man. I'm the same way. I mean, I was looking for a bottle of have you guys had Caribou Crossing?
I have, yeah.
So for whatever reason, I decided I was
Canadian Blanton's, basically. Yeah.
I thought I'm really gonna hunt this down. I'm gonna try to find this. Couldn't find it. I was in Montreal last year. Couldn't find any there. And I'm with some buddies. I'm doing a gig in Michigan. We stop at a gas station that has kind of a party store attached to it. And I walked in and they had it there for $46 or something crazy. And I was like, I got to buy this. And I bought it, brought it home. I mean, it's not Blanton's level, I don't think. It's very ordinary. But I got so excited when I saw it because that was like, at that time, not a white whale, but it's something that I had in my memory that, oh, if I see this, I'm going to buy it.
Yeah. So that the point you're bringing up, Matt, is one of the reasons why I don't do online shopping, like, at all. Yeah. Because part of, like, a huge part of the thrill for me is like, I found it. I got it.
Absolutely.
Like, yes, that's awesome that I get to drink it too, but I found it. And like, if I find it and it's 4 times retail, then fuck them. I'm not going to fucking feed that animal. But yeah, I mean, like, the excitement of finding it for a good price and I get to enjoy it too. That's just extra. That's bonus points.
I agree. So. It's part of the sport.
Yep.
And if you find something that you're looking for that's kind of rare out, then that's probably a good indication that that place is worth going back to in the future. So you teach a man to fish, get all that
Shut up,
shit.
Steven. Well, what do you say we well, you're already drinking some of it. Let's
didn't know
drink
the
up,
rules,
guys.
so I apologize.
There are no rules. There are no.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us. So a little bit about Weller Special Reserve. It's 90 proof, made by Buffalo Trace. Mash bill is technically undisclosed, but we think it's 65 corn, 25 wheat, 10% barley. No age statement, but it's supposedly around 7 years. And SRP is $24. Finding it for $24 is challenging. 5-6 years ago was simple to find for $24, but today, if you find it under 35, you're doing good, and under 30, you should definitely grab it. In my personal opinion,
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So what do we think, guys? What's the what do you think of the nose and all that pretentious bullshit we barely touch on?
I was gonna say I couldn't answer any of that. I just to me it's very smooth. I enjoy it a lot. It's exactly what I'm looking for in a bourbon. This is one that I can sit and have a nice night and enjoy it. And I think it always has it hits me the right way. I like it.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you what I smell, couldn't tell you what I taste. I taste bourbon.
It tastes good.
My palate is not, I mean, if I'm not, I mean, I'm a guy that eats White Castles and pizza rolls. My palate is not developed.
Now we don't do a whole lot of focusing on this stuff, but we try to appease some of the actual bourbon drinkers that's the reason they might want to watch us. But let's be honest, most of the people that watch us, they just want to hear us talking about our dicks or.
Oh, well, good. Well, that we can talk about a nose.
And we make fun of Ryan a lot. That's a common theme.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm down. I mean, I'd like to know more. And then Dan, I've read some of your posts on other things, and you're always good talking about notes of whatever. I would love to be developed that way with my palate. I'm just not, and I don't have the patience either.
Yeah.
I will say this, and I know we're talking about Weller, but I can say there are certain bourbons that do hit me a certain way. Like for me, I think Willet is great, and it has like this. It's a real interesting texture and flavor to me. It's very smooth. It's almost like candy apple is what I kind of pick up with that. And then was Angel's Envy to me tastes very much like caramel apple. Like it's almost too candy for me. It's not my thing. But that's as far as I go when it comes to stuff. I can usually tell, like I can tell Blanton's when I'm drinking it or something like that, but I don't get too deep in the weeds otherwise.
So what you're talking about, Matt, is from my website, and really the goal of that is just to try to help people. Yeah. Like I don't do it to like do anything more than say, hey, if you can't find this, here's what it tastes like. Yeah. So if that doesn't sound appealing to you and you finally find it, don't buy it, because like if you're not into these flavors,
right,
don't waste your money on it.
No, and there's nothing worse than dropping, $50 is not a small amount to drop on a bottle of booze. And you drop $50 on something, you get home and you crack it open and you don't like it. Mm-hmm. That sucks,
To me, I like reading and hearing tasting notes just because as somebody who's like getting into bourbon, if you hear that stuff, you're just like, oh yeah, that is that like taste that I'm picking up that's slightly different than another one that I didn't like. You know what I mean? So like for this, I almost think this on the nose smells like a Tennessee whiskey for some reason. I don't know exactly what it is, but I think it's because I pick up a little like raspberry or something. But I'm just comparing it to like recently I had the Uncle Nearest, and there's like a more distinct flavor or smell, I should say, that has compared to like a lot of bourbons. And for some reason, I feel like this smells a lot like it on the nose.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's been a while since I've got Uncle Near is sitting over there, but I haven't had it for a little while, so I can't really compare the nose. But
I think it's just
but it's
because
an
there's no
interesting
smoke.
observation.
There's no smoke or anything like that to it at all. It's just a
Yeah.
I would
very
agree. I
like
agree about
fruity-
that. Yeah.
It's a fruity smell.
Yeah. What about the taste, Steven? Anything kicking you?
The taste is a lot of vanilla to me. A lot of vanilla, and then just like typical other bourbon notes you would taste. I think it's very similar on the palate to me as like an E.H. Taylor small batch. It's
Okay.
to me, I think it tastes like really, really similar, at least to my palate.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I E.H. Taylor small batch is one of my favorites as well. I think for me, it seems a little smoother than Weller, but I would agree it does. It is similar. I definitely would see that.
What about you, Ryan?
I mean, I got this bottle a couple of weeks ago, and I'm already down there. I get a lot of vanilla.
Yeah.
You know me. I like the wheated bourbon, so anything that's a little sweeter on the tongue is better. So
Except Angel's Envy.
except Angel's Envy. I won't go into it.
Thank you, because it's boring as shit.
Are you a fan or not a fan?
No, there's reasons why I'm
There's
not.
backstory.
It has nothing to do with the way the whiskey's made. It's just who owns the whiskey.
Oh, so
I'm not a fan of.
So it's pending litigation is what it sounds like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it, and for the price I got it at, I love it even more. Because I got a funny story, and it wasn't at one of my accounts, but it wasn't scanning at the store I was at the correct price.
Oh, that's right.
So the cashier went back to the liquor department and grabbed some $8.99 bottle of Canadian whiskey.
Ooh.
Brought it up to the register and scanned that in its place. I'm like, oh, that's not the same thing. He was like, fuck it, man. I was like, okay. So I got a bottle of Weller Special Reserve for $8.99. Yeah, a buddy of mine was with me when we were buying it, and the guy scanned both bottles at $8.99. We're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
That's incredible, dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you want to go get your manager? And like, I could tell you the correct price or right around it. He's like, no. Okay, well, I tried.
All right. My hands are clean.
Yeah.
I have a buddy that went into an IGA grocery store, and they had a pint of Whistle Pig, which I've never seen a pint of that.
I don't think I have either.
Yeah, and he was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." He's a bourbon guy. He's like, "Oh, that's cool. Let me see that." And they handed him the bottle, and he asked what the price was on it, and they said something like $24 or something. And she goes, "That's for a pint. That can't be right." And he was like, "No, I think that's probably right."
Yeah, it's probably right. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, he could have walked out with that, with her thinking it was wrong and marking it down, but
yeah,
he did the ethically right thing.
Yeah.
It's sometimes that's hard to do.
So Ryan, you're in your bedroom tonight because you have COVID.
Oh,
I
shit.
do.
Long overdue. Long overdue.
Yeah, seriously. And we didn't share this, Matt, but you're actually on. This is like a test case in case Ryan dies. You're going to step in
nice.
as the new co-host.
Can I step in as a distributor gig too?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
You have very small shoes to fill, my friend.
That's great. I work best with low expectations.
I'm on
So
my
Matt,
last day
you
of
had
quarantine.
COVID. Last day of quarantine?
Thank God.
So
Yeah,
are you having symptoms at all?
I haven't really had any symptoms since Saturday, and I got my test on Thursday. So, but I had started getting symptoms a few days before that, not thinking it was COVID. But I had a fever at like right under 101.
Okay.
My nose is stuffed up. Headaches. I was real lightheaded for the first 3 days, and now it's just been smooth sailing, you know?
Good for you, man. I had it in July, toward the end of July, up until I think I tested negative finally on August 1st. And it was probably the worst, like 21 days of my life. I mean, I was in bed every day for probably 18 hours. I mean, I just couldn't stay awake, body aches. I was nauseous. My girlfriend had it too. She had it during the same time. And she was in her apartment quarantining herself. And she had 5 or 6 days in a row where her fever was right around 103. I mean, we were having drastic mood swings. I was having absolute night terrors. It was incredibly problematic for me. So I'm glad that you're not having that.
Yeah, it seems to be
wish he
different.
was. I kind of wish he was. Like, Ryan's the type of dude that like he should have gotten it really, really bad because he's been a douchebag about it like for the whole time. Like he's been like
works out for Ryan, doesn't it?
Yeah, like Ryan's kind of the rich kid, so like he's getting off on it easy anyway. Like this whole year, he's basically been like at bars at night, flying on the weekends.
That is not true.
Like Ryan should have gotten just bent over and fucked hard by COVID, and he didn't because that's just how things work out for him.
Well, hey, look, it's I don't have a dog in this fight. I mean, I can watch you guys go back and forth, and that'll be just fine for me.
Well, you're going to be a dog in this fight if Ryan does. So I mean,
if he dies.
Well, let's make sure we're clear on something. I haven't accepted anything.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. Well,
so
I think even if you didn't, you know, the term addition by subtraction comes to mind.
No, I understand that. That I'm very familiar with, but
Ryan's the kind of guy, he walks into a store, he tries to buy Weller Special Reserve because he's able to at all, and then they just ring up something real cheap. You know, just kind of just works out for Ryan.
How do you know that's not just to get him out of the fucking store as fast as possible?
That's true.
Could be like, you know, we're taking a loss on this, but this guy's hitting the pavement a little sooner.
Yeah. And I want to
cut our losses now.
I want to say that we do have a single data point now. If Ryan gets through COVID like scot-free, I mean, maybe Dulcolax really is the and other stool softeners could really be a substitute to help beat this thing.
Benefiber.
Oh, we're on Benefiber now?
Oh yeah, softens the stool.
What are the tasting notes on the Benefiber? Can you give us the tasting notes of the Benefiber?
Yeah, so we got.
Let me guess, caramel.
We got 3 different assorted chews here. We got purple, orange, and white.
Oh my god, you got the chews because you're too big of a bitch to take a pill. Oh my god.
No, it's not the pill. No, okay, I was doing the powder in the water, and then the powder would just get everywhere.
I should have known. Oh my god.
So are you picking up nice flavors of caramel on that one, Ryan?
Oh yeah, caramel. Breathing in a lot of powder.
That Matt doesn't know.
That's all right.
Like every single, like no matter what we're drinking, Ryan's. Oh, I taste caramel.
Oh,
yeah, caramel. That's real strong caramel on this one.
So how many,
even the listeners make fun of Ryan because all he picks up is caramel.
You know, those kind of tasting notes, that kind of reporting is why I got kicked off my Little Debbie podcast. Everything was caramel. Everything.
I thought you lived in St. Louis. I didn't know you lived down in Kentucky.
No, yeah, originally from Indianapolis, and then I moved to Michigan for a couple years because I don't know how winter works, and then now down in Kentucky. So
where at in Michigan were you?
I was in Frankenmuth.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's the right response. I lived in a Bavarian village where it was Christmas every goddamn day of my life. Frankenmuth is the home of the largest Christmas store on earth.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then this it literally, the town looks like a Bavarian village, and they have festivals every week. It's absolutely fucking horrific.
Sounds like the neighborhood where Thomas Kincaid might have grown up.
It's really bad. And then the other thing they're known for, they have these 2 restaurants that are across from each other, and they're both known for fried chicken. And people come from states away to have this fried chicken. It's insane, and it draws a lot of elderly people.
Is the chicken good?
I lived there for almost 2 years, never had the chicken. A sheer principle, I'm not eating that chicken. No. So I have no idea. And I tend to think that it's not, because from what I've heard, when you're at the restaurant, you have your plate there with the chicken on it, and then on the table they have this shaker that says chicken seasoning that you put on your chicken sucks. If you have a shaker of seasoning for me to enjoy this chicken, then someone's dropped the fucking ball here, and I'm assuming it's the cook and not the guy that put the shaker on the table. So I'm gonna say it probably sucks, but people come to it, but they come to it because someone said it's good. That's what happens now.
Yep.
Bourbon is a great example of that.
Yes,
all of a
it
sudden
is.
the wrong person can say, oh, this bottle's fantastic, and now it goes up in price by 3 times and it's just swill
and becomes impossible to find.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. We've all become very, very touched by what we read and what other people tell us, and bourbon's a very personal thing. You know, I'll tell you a bottle that I love is ancient age.
I have not found that in
it
at least
is very
a year.
hard to find.
It's been at least a year, but I was raving about it to someone. Stephen, was it you?
I can't remember.
I think you talked about it on here once.
Okay. I mean, no, seriously, Ancient Age 10-star is phenomenal. It's the only Buffalo Trace Mash Bill 2 product that is not single barrel. And it is like impossible to find anymore. I don't know if they discontinued it. I don't know what's going on with it. But no, you're exactly right, Matt. It is stellar for $15-$20.
Yep. Well, what about the early times bottle and bonded?
Impossible to find anymore.
I can find it here at Kroger all day long. It's $22 a bottle. It's fantastic.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Over
Buy
here,
some up.
yeah, seriously. Over here, as soon as Buffalo Trace bought that from Heaven Hill, it became impossible to find.
Brown Foreman.
Like Brown Foreman. Sorry, you're right. You're exactly right. Yeah, I've got a bottle and a half, and I'm like babying them because I don't know how quickly I'll be able to replace one if I go through it. But early times bottled and bond, another stellar one, just killer.
Like I'm now to the point where I'm not searching bourbon. Well, I'm not gainfully employed right now, so that's part of it. I am not adding to my bourbon stash like I was. And that's a good thing because there were times. So here we have the 2 major liquor purveyors that we have here is Liquor Barn and Total Wine. And, you know, I was doing a show last December of 19. I did a charity show for UK Children's Hospital. And we had a guy that came to after the show and he goes, man, I thought that was great. Here's my card if you ever need anything. And he was the general manager of Liquor Barn.
Oh, now that's a relationship I would spark up like that.
It was amazing because within that period of time, I got my first and only bottle of Stag Junior. I got a bottle of Full Proof. I forget what else I got. And then that guy, you know, moved on and now I'm just a regular Joe Q Public again.
Yeah.
So I can't get any of that stuff, but
hurts.
Yeah. But even then, back then I'd go into a store and if I'd see something that was something I knew about, I would just buy it. And that became a problem. So I got to be more judicious about my purchases.
So Matt, tell us about comedy. How's comedy in COVID?
It's tough. I mean, it could probably be, I could probably be more aggressive and do it, but I'm trying to be cautious about it, even though that I've gone through COVID and I feel like I still kind of have antibodies built up. Yeah. But you know, it's weird because like, I think the last time I saw you, I was working at the club there and we had a great time. It was a fun week, but man, I was blown away at how many people just didn't give a fuck about it.
Seriously. Now, keep in mind that was St. Charles.
Yes.
Well, O'Fallon, I guess, technically. Yeah. Same shit. But
County. Yeah, St. Charles County.
That's a totally different man. That's a different that's where Steven lives.
It was, he can tell you about it. Like we went, so I don't know. The first night we were there, we had a really small crowd. We had like 12 people. And I told the crowd, somehow karaoke came up. And I'm like, here's what I'll do. After this show is over, let's all, is there a karaoke bar close? And there was one down the road, of course. And I said, all right, if we all go as a group from here, I want to take the entire show. Let's go to the karaoke bar. I will buy the first round of drinks from everyone because I want the story that I took the audience to do karaoke together. And I think maybe 8 of them went and we walked in this karaoke bar and social distancing, forget that. These people were almost on piggyback with each other. No masks, nothing. They were almost like baby birds spitting into each other's mouths. That's how it was.
And was this before or after you got COVID?
I had just gotten over it. So
Yeah.
I was there the week of like August 22nd, and I just tested negative finally on August 1st. So I'm just Melissa and I both knew that we were somewhat superhuman at that point, that we were fine. So we weren't that concerned, but I saw all that activity. I'm like, this is not going away anytime soon. Like no one's taking this seriously. So because of that, I've been real cautious with comedy because I just don't want to be in a situation where I'm not going to be able to control it. And I don't want to be part of the problem. And then every club now is dealing with certain restrictions, like they have to have audience restrictions. They can only have, people that are sitting 6 feet away. They can only some clubs can be at 30% occupancy. And it's not conducive to doing things and having fun with it. So
Yeah.
I have been very selective about what I've done. I've canceled a lot of dates. There are certain dates that I do every year that maybe don't pay great, but I have the opportunity to sell merchandise after a show that more than makes up for it. But I don't want to stand out there at a merch table and interact with people who are or not taking it seriously. So I pulled all those. I think that the show I did in O'Fallon is the first gig I'd done since COVID had hit. Excuse me. And I've probably only done 4 dates since then.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Melissa and I did a date. We did a one-nighter up in Michigan together. It was a fundraiser. We did a weekend together in Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
I did a week in Lexington, and then her and I did Louisville together last week.
Okay.
So it's been very, very few and far between. So it should open up. I think things will start to move. I kind of think, this is just me, I don't have any crystal ball, but I have a feeling it seems like, I think Memorial Day seems to make some sense to me in my head, that people get vaccinated and all this stuff happens. I think you'll start seeing some things start to level out around Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And you look back on it, and probably had we all just passed on Memorial Day last year, I think we'd probably be in a much better place today, because that was the line in the sand, no pun intended, that everyone was talking about. Well, we have to have Memorial Day. It's a holiday. And so
Right.
beaches open and all that shit happened. And
well,
then
it started back in, like, I remember when it was like Easter, when it was like Easter was going to be, it was just like,
Easter
well,
was a
by
big
the time
deal, yeah.
Easter rolls around,
Yep.
we'll have Easter and it'll be fine.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like every holiday after that.
Yep. Had we taken some really, really precautions at that point, I think things would be better. But we're not, and then we got to get through it. And so once COVID kind of clears out and comedy starts back, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, like, I'm someone who I've always been booked up 9 to 12 months in advance.
Right.
And now I'm not. So when things open back up, it's all of us in the business are all trying to start from zero.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really hard to get traction.
Yeah.
To try to get back into it. But luckily I've got a lot of places that, are regulars for me that I can slowly start getting back into it. So I'm confident that things will come back.
Matt, I wanted to mention that you and I have never, like, formally met face to face, but I did see one of your shows. Actually,
Is that right?
Yeah, and you are one of the only comics that very nearly made me do a spit take.
Oh, nice.
With, like, your first words on stage too, because
nice.
I had
where was this?
This was at the Comic Cetera 2 in
Oh,
Fairview
wow.
Heights.
Well, I'm surprised you didn't just spit your drink up. I'm assuming Art's not watching this. He'd have to have internet access, so I think that's probably not happening. Well, I appreciate that. That's cool. That's a club I really enjoyed. I really like that club. I wish it would have worked out.
Man, that club was tough, though. You can't lie and say it wasn't. That was.
Oh, there's no way, man. It was horrible.
God.
It was a tough room for sure.
But when things hit, you knew it. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was, and then it's funny. One of the times I worked that room, my brother came in from Indianapolis for the weekend to go to the shows, and we were hanging out. And then afterwards, he was like, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to go drink. I want to find a place to leave here. I want to go drink." And we went up the road and we found this sports bar that, lo and behold, years later became Hey Guys.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, it was a sports bar at the time. And
that's funny.
That place, if that wasn't at some point a strip club, I'm shocked.
The joke that almost made me do a spit take.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to know this.
was you basically you came on stage and the first thing you did was you were like something like I know I look like Billy Joel's mugshot.
Oh yeah.
And it was just like I don't know, something about it was just such a gut punch to me that like it was such a great line. It was what everybody it was like on the tip of your tongue. I was like, that's what it is. He looks like Billy Joel's mugshot. And I want you to know that I think about that like all the time. Like maybe like once a week or something. I'll think about how hard I laughed at that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I appreciate that. No, I'm glad you said that because I've actually forgotten that joke. So that's the one.
We can cut that out if you want. If you don't want me to give up your spots here. But
first, let's be honest. The 10 people that are watching this aren't coming to my show, so it would take you more time to cut it out than if I went to each of them with one of those little wands from Men in Black. And have them but that's one thing that has happened with COVID, and is the post-COVID stuff is real. Like the post symptoms, like I have still a lot of fatigue out of nowhere, some brain fog and shit like that. And it has really affected me when it comes to comedy. Plus comedy is, that's a muscle. You have to keep working it. And when you don't, and so when my shows back it's been rough, man. I remember, luckily I'm someone who can think on my feet and I can just interact with the crowd and that helps. But, I was in Louisville this past week and I did 5 shows and I haven't done 5 shows since March of last year, and I was doing 5 shows headlining. So I'm doing an hour. And you realize real quick, fuck, I have forgotten a lot of material. My timing is way off. There's certain taglines built in and everything like that. And, it's funny because that line, that Billy Joel's mugshot line, is enough to make me launch into, then that went to this and that went to that. It's really amazing how those can just be keys that can get you back. And that's what I'm sure I'm speaking for many other comics when I say that's what we're all looking for, is that thing, like that, pull that string to start the mower, and once it fires, it's great. But man, that's been the roughest part of this for me, is just being so dialed in to where I could go up almost in my sleep and perform and do well, and now have to think about it and be like, I don't even know how this shit goes. It's humbling.
Do you have any like recordings that you could like revisit
of recent ones?
Yeah.
Recent shows? No, I haven't recorded. The only time I record is if I'm putting an album together.
Okay. Yeah.
I just, for whatever reason, I just don't do it. And even then it's tough because when I know I'm recording, I tend to screw up.
Yeah.
So I just don't really do too much of that. I should, because there's been a lot of stuff that's happened in the moment that I've lost. Dude, it's been this has been an interesting year for me though, too, because I had COVID, right? Went through COVID. Then at the end of August, went in and got total knee replacement surgery.
Dude, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I went in the end of August, had surgery on that, and then I'm through with all my physical therapy and everything, but and then I got to go get the other one done at some point. But if not for COVID, I wouldn't have done this, because the downtime I'm not taking down for this.
Yeah.
But yeah,
dude,
I
didn't know about that.
Yep.
Okay.
I was having trouble. I couldn't get up out of a chair. Like I was like, it hurts a lot. Like I'd have to like get momentum and rock myself to get up. If I was if my hips were less than parallel, I was fucked like a turtle.
No shit.
I had really bad arthritis, and it was from doing CrossFit for like 2 years, and it just destroyed my joints.
Okay.
And but yeah, and then they tell you, oh, with knee replacement, you'll be walking that day, you'll go home the next day, 2 to 4 weeks later, strangers are going to show up at your house and blow you. It's great. You're going to and other than me walking the first day, none of that shit happened. And I didn't want to walk. That first day I didn't want to walk. They came in like, all right, you're going to walk. And it was painful and sucked. And I was in the hospital for 3 fucking days. There was one day where I was on morphine because the pain was so bad.
I mean, that's a positive.
Yeah, well, that part wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I slept great, but and then now they say, oh, it's 2 to 4 weeks. No, it's going to be close to a year before you're 100%.
Jesus.
My knee, dude, my knee still has numb spots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I still have swelling in my knee, and I had this on like the end of August, I think it was.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I had no idea, man. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I didn't post anything about it. I was like,
yeah.
I'm not.
Well, I've even when was it that I came to see you in O'Fallon? Was that August?
Yeah, it was right before it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it was the end of September when I did it, but regardless, it was not. It was within a month of that.
Okay.
Yeah, but there were certain mornings where I couldn't step up onto a curb because I couldn't lift my knee enough because it was bone on bone. It sucked.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. So again, without COVID, I wouldn't have done it. It was like,
yeah,
I don't have time. I'm not going to take time off the road to do it. So this is
Yeah.
kind of a cool thing. I have to get the other one done. And at first I was like, I'll do the right one. And then I'll go in right immediately after the left one. Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that. It really sucked. It sucked a lot. I mean, I feel great now, but that recovery sucked. And going to physical therapy and shit, no, not happening. So
and no strangers showed up to give you a blowjob.
No, none.
Jesus, God damn it!
It's coming. Listen, as soon as you do the other one, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, we should, Dan, while we think of it, we should give a Dustin Diamond update. We do have a Dustin Diamond update this week.
It's
been a few weeks since we had a Dustin Diamond update, but it is back.
It's good news.
No, it's not. It's horrible news. It's horrible news. So, Matt, I don't know how it happened, but I decided I really wanted to have Dustin Diamond on the show.
Oh my God.
And I acquired his personal cell phone number.
Right.
And I started like texting him to try to get him on the show, calling him to try to get him on the show. Got no response. Finally, I started like sending him pictures of my taint, like in an effort to get him to respond.
Right.
And
that didn't work.
None of it. No, strangely, that didn't work. Like, I don't know why.
It's how we got all of our other guests, but
yeah. Started a GoFundMe so that we could even pay him. And like we raised a whole $5 to get him on the show.
Right. Yeah.
And then we just decided to say, fuck it, we give up. Game over. And then Steven let me know this week Dustin Diamond has been hospitalized with a mysterious disease. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. I wish Dustin Diamond the absolute best. I hope he recovers. I hope he's fine. But it is not my fault. My taint had nothing to do with this mystery disease.
Yeah,
it's not my fault.
I think you're okay. That's hard to prove.
Yeah, right? Like it was a picture. Like if I made him sniff it, maybe
while he's in the hospital, maybe they can go ahead and install a funny bone while they're there.
Have you ever worked with him?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay.
It's miserable.
Yeah.
I'm actually shocked. I'm shocked you didn't hear back because Dustin Diamond's voicemail is usually, "Hey, you've reached Dustin Diamond. I'll take it." I'm shocked. You weren't able to negotiate something with this idiot.
I never got in touch with him. I don't know if the number that I have for him has changed.
Right.
Honest to God, that's the most likely situation, which means that some random person got a picture of my taint, which I feel kind of bad about. But whatever.
I don't know why we haven't just done the normal thing of reaching out to his representation.
Because then we would have to pay him.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing in this situation is you end up with having to have Dustin Diamond on your show. I have to already assume that you guys, this episode is unbearable. I can't even imagine with that fucking jack off on. I can't even fathom how that would be. The mysterious illness is someone beat the fuck out of him. He's a big mouth. That's what I'm guessing.
So us even having him on the show was more of a gag than anything.
It would have been a train. It would have been an absolute train wreck.
Oh yeah. No,
I think we would have. I think we, honest to God, would have been disappointed if he, like, the one positive is that Dustin Diamond has name recognition, right? Like that's the one positive. Other than that, if he actually came on the show, I think all three of us would have been disappointed because it was more fun to be like, hey, we've got a GoFundMe, make it happen, and play off of the fact that it's silly.
And it's fun to have a Dustin Diamond update segment. Though.
No, I yeah. You're not wrong about that. That Stephen, that's really good. That's a good point.
Hopefully not next week. Dead.
Yeah, you gotta switch celebrities. Then you gotta see what Danny
Bonaduce
from Family Ties is doing. What's that?
That's a Danny Bonaducci it is.
Oh yeah. Anyway, yeah. It's I think it's a good angle. I think you're doing the right thing. You're doing God's work here.
All right, guys. I mean, this has been a great show, Matt. We appreciate you joining.
Oh, thanks for having me. This is awesome.
But we need to give this a rating. We give our whiskey a rating every week. It's 0 to 10. 5.0 is Jim Beam White Label. So on that 0 to 10 scale, Stephen, let's go with you. We're gonna go around this way on my screen. So Stephen, what's your rating?
So I really liked it. I want to say that up front.
Okay.
I really liked Weller Special Reserve. I'm about a third of the way or half the way through the bottle I've got now. So I've been drinking it for a while now. I've reflected on some of the other whiskeys we've had. Most directly, I'll compare it to the Weller Antique 107. I think I gave that like an 8.7 or so. And I got to say, my big thoughts on this are that I like it significantly less than Antique 107, which I'm not saying it's a super fair comparison or anything like that, but it's probably the closest I can make. And that being said, I think I'm going to give this guy a 7.5, but I could really justify giving it almost anything in the 7 range, as long as, depending on how many glasses of it I've had or something like that. I think it's a super easy sipper, super easy. But there's something about it. I would buy it every time I saw it on the shelf for retail, but there's not enough pulling me back to it where I would ever ask for it. I would never really have a conversation about it.
Yeah. Let me ask you something else. So you compared it to 107. Let me, how do you compare it to Maker's 46?
I remember you saying during the Maker's 46 recording that you challenged us to, have like a Weller Special Reserve or something like that.
Blind,
and do a blind taste test for it. I'm not sure that I would pick the Weller Special Reserve over the Maker's Mark or vice versa. I really don't know. It would just depend on the night, I think. And given that, with how widely available Maker's Mark 46 is, I like I'm saying, I could never, if I saw it on the shelf, I think I would prefer this at retail over Maker's 46 for the same price range. I think.
Well, Maker's 46 is more expensive. Let's be clear about that. It's much easier to find, but it's the same exact mash bill. Just different distilleries, different, probably same yeast, maybe different yeast. But I mean, with bourbon, location of the like the rick house, like where the barrel gets stored, makes such a huge difference.
Water makes a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Huge differences all around. So I was just curious.
I think basically, to close my thoughts, I think kind of like what Matt was saying earlier that he did with like Caribou Crossing, I think, where you were trying to find that. To me, Weller Special Reserve is not going to be that, but I'll buy it every time I see it. Just kind of the same way I feel about Eagle Rare or something like that. I'll buy it anytime I see it, but I'm not going to be trying to pull favors to get it in my hands again.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So 7.5, you said?
Yeah, 7.5.
Cool. What about you, Ryan? Where are you at on the one?
Well, for $8.99 bottle, it's a 10 in that regard. But kind of piggybacking off what Steven said, it's definitely not as smooth as the 12-year or the 107. I mean, for obvious reasons, the juice isn't as good. You see it on a shelf, you're going to buy it every time for sure. Beautiful label. It tastes great. I'm never going to pass up drinking it. Like if I'm trying to get drunk one night, I mean, many times I drank pretty much a whole bottle of this in one night, and the hangover's not too bad, which is also good.
Yeah.
I drank a whole bottle of this the night before Thanksgiving, and I was not hungover at all the next day. I couldn't say the same about Mellow Corn. That being said, I do like the sweetness, but it's like a 7.7 for me. Okay. It's good. It's not a 107. I do like it more than Maker's 46 because I was kind of let down with Maker's 46 because I used to drink Maker's when I was younger and I thought it was so good. And then you open your eyes to other things and then you realize what is actually better. But I'm seeing this a little more in my market now. So it's a little easier to get, which is also nice. So I'm sure my score would be higher if I never saw it. But now that I see it regularly and I'm able to get it regularly, I say a 7.7.
7.7. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. So what do you say on our scale?
For me,
And don't be judged. Like, don't take their numbers into consideration.
Oh, I haven't listened to those who have said yet. So
yeah, good idea.
No, so for me, Weller it's a special bourbon for me, and I don't know if it's just because it was kind of the first one that I found that I really really fell in love with, or if it was the hunt. You know, it was kind of the sport of bourbon for me with this. I've had the special reserve, I've had the antique, and I have a bottle of the full proof, and I like all of them. I've not had the 12-year. I personally like the reserve more than the antique. The antique is a little hot for me. It's a little peppery for me. You know, I probably need to revisit it a little bit. When I compare Weller Special Reserve to Maker's 46, it's funny. I never thought about that until you guys started talking about it, and I definitely see the similarities. I think I fall more on the Weller side, but I do because it's harder to find. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to a blind taste test would be interesting. That's something I actually probably will do to see. I like the Maker's 101 an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
Out now. That's a great thing.
Yes, it is.
As Weller goes, you know, I'm going to be more kind to it. A year ago, I would have been like, "Oh, this is a 10." I don't know that I've had a bourbon that's a 10. I just don't think I've done that. I would say Weller for me is a solid 8. I have 7 bottles of this at home right now here in my bar, and that tells you something. There's a reason I have that much, and it's because when I see it, I do buy it. Mm-hmm. Would I buy it for much over MSRP? Probably not, because if I was going to take that money, I would really buy a more special bottle. But I feel good giving Weller Special Reserve an 8.0.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I can understand and justify every single one of your ratings. Couldn't argue with them, never would want to argue with them. But for me personally, I'm going to give Weller SR a 6.2.
That feels low.
Yeah, I can understand that. I really can. Here's my reason. It is a perfectly sufficient bourbon. It's smooth. It's tasty. But my thing with it is that it is nothing special, right? It's for
That's
me.
Mine says special right on the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually.
You guys won't stop talking about.
Yeah. That's a marketing technique, is what that is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but like, there's nothing that like grabs a hold of me and says, "Oh, this is so good." It's like
kind of like me as a person.
Smooth. What's that? Yes. It is the equivalent of Ryan as a human being.
Another bourbon show.
So a buddy of mine who's a comic out of Detroit named Sal D'Amelio. Sal's a great guy, and he came here. He and I were working together when I first moved here. So I told him, I go, "Hey man, instead of staying in the hotel, why don't you stay at my apartment for the week? We'll go to my office and we can kind of get work done and we'll hang out." So he's sitting in my office. We're doing some stuff, and he wants to go to this coffee shop around the corner. All right, man, I'll see you in a little bit. He comes back half hour later. He goes, "Dude, what the fuck is happening in this town? Between here and the coffee shop and back, 12 people said hello to me." Like, what is this? I'm from fucking Detroit. Like, these people are nice. Like, what's happening? Like, we have a guy in the town who walks around. He has a long wool coat, like a wool top coat, you know, and he wears a tall top hat. Right? Like, he looks like a Dickens caroler. No one's beat the fuck out of that guy. Nobody. That doesn't happen anywhere else. I've seen him from the week I moved in. I see him almost on a daily basis. I'm like, how is this guy not picking his hat up every day?
You know, there's
Proof that they're nice. Nobody beat the shit out of them.
there's a friend of mine that just moved from, like a couple years ago, moved from New York City to Detroit, downtown Detroit. And
Okay.
even going from there, he actually said in Detroit, he's like, the homeless people will be aggressive here. Like they'll get to know you if you pass them every day. Where in like New York, it's just like you're a nameless face to everybody.
Right.
You know? But he said in Detroit, like he's, you know, you'll get called out by that same hobo if you pass him 2 days in a row. He's like, come on, man, stop being a dick, you know? He's like, give me $1.
They know your patterns and shit.
Yeah.
God, that's
They're friendly hobos.
like telemarketing hobos.
Yeah.
I mean, look, a buddy of mine, Dave Landau, is in New York, and he has sent me multiple videos of this crazy homeless man outside their studio who stands in a phone booth and masturbates. I mean, I guess you got to use the booth for something. I mean, no one's making a phone call.
I was gonna say, get the man a cell phone. You solve the problem right there.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I've been horny before, but not that horny.
Tell us more about that, man.
I can get back to my hotel usually.